And then one user said, hey, it'd be great to hear sentences as well. Now, I think what the user had in mind was being able to see this word in a sentence as well. And so I could go to sentence view, and then I will see that word used in a sentence.
Bienvenidos a Lightspeed Spanish. Today we are here with Rick again, Rick from Mi Boca. Now you might be asking, what is Mi Boca? Mi Boca is a learning app for, how many languages are on there now, Rick?
12 now.
12 languages, but the one that we're focusing on is Spanish, clearly. Rick, how are you? How are things?
I'm doing great. Great. Good to see you again. And thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. Are you still in
I
Bolivia?
am. Yeah. So yeah, still in Bogota. I did take a few weeks to go back home to the States to spend time with family. I do go back there every several months, but I pretty much live in Latin America for the entire year. Bogota
Right.
is my home base, but then I live in other countries from time to time.
You lucky man. What a lovely life, yeah. So, Rick, you've got the last time that we talked together, we were talking about the app that you've built, the language learning app, which I'll tell you a little bit later on, but I'm using it and I find it extremely useful. I'm using it to learn Esperanto. So you've had some updates on the app, yeah? There's some new things that you want to share with us, yeah?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Before you share the new stuff, for those who haven't seen this app before, it might be worthwhile you just having a quick run through of what it does. What is it? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy. I'll share my screen and kind of walk everyone through. But essentially, as you said, it's an app to manage your vocabulary, your personal vocabulary system. And what I'd like this to be is a tool that anyone can use when they want to capture a word. And I'll show you how you can quickly translate and find meanings, and then be able to save it in one place and be able to practice it through various different modes that I'll demonstrate to the point at which you hopefully can mark that word as mastered and then move on to the newer words in your list. So I'll kind of walk people through the key features, but I do want to share some exciting new things that have been added over the past several weeks, especially, and several of them thanks to notes I've received from users.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Well, why don't you go on and share your screen and let's see what this is all about.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Are you seeing it here?
Yeah. Yeah. We can see it.
Okay, great. So I'll walk you through each of the key sections like I did in the previous video, but I want to kind of focus on those things that I've added more recently. Translator, this should be pretty intuitive. Like any other translator, you can enter the word. You can also speak it, have it translate automatically. I'm going to actually come back to this later because we're going to use translator a bit later on here in the presentation. I wanted to spend a bit of time on my words. This is the main repository of all your vocabulary. So when you do translate a word, when you import a list like a spreadsheet, or when you add a word pack, you'll find all your vocabulary here. And I've done a few things to make it easier to navigate. So first of all, I now have a compact view. So
Ah,
it's easier to
okay.
scroll down, and then you can just open any one to view the details. Another great suggestion from a user was to add the gender, where there's a male and female form for nouns and adjectives. So in this
Uh-huh.
case, you'll see that I had searched for alentador, but it will give me not only the plural, but gives me the feminine form and the feminine plural. And then as always, you have the example sentences.
Yeah.
And then you can edit each one. So if you want to change the spelling, if you want to change example sentences, if you want to add other meanings, you can go here. You can create your own new meaning. You can have it generate other meanings. So if you think that there's maybe another meaning you'd like to see, you can go and you can find, if you want to add uplifting, for example, you can add that. So I wanted to make it easier for users to be able to modify the vocabulary and also to organize it.
Yeah.
And as far as organizing, so I've added some things to the filter. The default is usually the newest ones first. So right at the top, you'll see the more recent vocabulary that you've translated or imported. But you can also reverse the order. You can reverse the order alphabetically or in terms of the importance ratings. So you can sort basically from low importance to high importance or high to low. You'll also can see the words that you've mastered. And here, actually, I wanted to kind of explain why these are important and how you can use Mvoca to manage what I'm kind of thinking of now as a pipeline of managing your personal vocabulary. You'll see at the top here that I've added the words that I've saved, those that I'm actively practicing, and those that I've mastered. So
okay.
think of it this way, like your words are coming in, that's when they're saved. Then you're going to be practicing them through the flashcards and other sections I'll go through here in a moment. And then ideally, once you feel you know it well, it'll be marked as mastered. You'll still be able to see it. It will still be in your vocabulary, but it will be removed from all the practice sessions. What I've learned is that for most users, having between 60 and 120 words in practice is ideal. I need to pare mine down because I'm close to 150. The reason is that if you have hundreds of words, you may not see a word for several weeks, and really for it to sink in well, for really to make optimal use of the spaced repetition in the AI, you want to be practicing it often enough that you get to the point where, okay, I can say I've mastered it, then move on to the next one. And so what you can do to help manage that is use your importance rating. So in this case, I have alentador, which I just added. I immediately marked that as important. That means it's going to move faster through the pipeline, if you will. Okay. And if I were to mark it as not very important, I won't say this often. It's not something I would expect to use every week or every month, so it's going to move a bit more slowly. So this basically is a way you're adjusting the speed through which your vocabulary moves to the pipeline. And so I think for most users, those that they mark as very important are those they want to practice the most frequently and then get to a point where they can say, yeah, I know that one. It's now part of my vocabulary. So that's sort of the system I wanted to explain for managing your vocabulary in my words.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And because I just while you were talking, I opened my Mioa and had a look, and oh my God, I've got 230 words. So I need to, and zero mastered at the moment. So I need to sort that out. But that's a great way of, and I can see compacting as well. So it's easier to see. And then I'm going to start marking the importance as well. That'll help me. Yeah, that's great.
Right. Okay. Right. And then I forgot to mention, you can certainly mark as mastered here, and then it will appear, it tells you here, it will no longer appear in your exercises. And then you could, if you want to just check and see which ones you've mastered, you can go to the filter here and just look at your mastered words. Okay. And you see the count now has gone up to 31. Now it's very personal, because if you're spending an hour or two a day using Mvoca, then maybe you can manage 400 or 500 words. But most people, I think, they're maybe using it 10 minutes while they're waiting in line in a supermarket, or maybe a half hour of dedicated practice at home. And usually if you're around 10 to 30 minutes, probably you want to have roughly 100 words, I think, in your active practice.
Yeah. Okay. Duly noted.
So I'll be coming up with other tools actually to help you manage that. I want the app to actually be able to tell you how often you're practicing certain words and to give you some hints as to when you might want to change the rating. That's coming soon. But for now, let me show you what else you can do with the app. So that's how you manage your vocabulary. And here's the first way you can practice it. So with flashcards, I wanted to point out there are actually 4 different ways you can use it. So right now I have it in English first, and I can tap to reveal the answer and see it in Spanish. Note here too that it's not translating word for word, because in many cases there's just a different way of saying it in each language. Yeah. You can see here that there's a different way you would organize the sentence in English versus Spanish. Yeah. You can play to hear those, and I think for most people it's easier to see it in their learning language, in this case Spanish first, and then say, okay, I know that in English that's must see. But you can go back and forth. And then what I try to do is, once I know the words, I'll focus on the sentences. Mm-hmm. And I'll read the sentence in Spanish, like, okay, how would I see that in English, and vice versa. So you can think of it actually as 4 different ways. You can go word to word both ways, and then you can go sentence to sentence both ways. And then of course you can mark how well you know it. And I've added a mastered key. So if you feel like, oh, I've seen this enough, I'll mark as mastered, and that will remove it. So I won't see that in flashcards or the other practice sections again.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the latest on flashcards. Sentence fill, I think one of the things I've added is the ability to select and translate any word here. So if I see a word in sentence fill I don't know, then I can click it here and it will take me to translator and it will translate that for me. And then I can either save it or cancel it and then go back to sentence fill. So if I'm just going to cancel here to save time, it will take me right back to where I
Straight back.
was. Right.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, and then of course, if you need help, you can see the translation.
Yeah.
Now, sentence fill is using a concept called comprehensible input. So it's, in this case, I have my setting for C1 in Spanish. So it's giving me a sentence that's ideally at my level or where I might see some new words. And that's where I think it's useful because if it's like I'm going to see new words, I may want to add them to my vocabulary. So I can do that here.
Oh,
And then, of course, you can just choose the correct answer and then move on to the next one. And these are given in sets of 5. Okay, so I wanted to show you stories, and there's a new thing that I've added here. So in stories, the AI is generating a story or a dialogue, and it's using your practice words, which are highlighted here. You can click to be reminded of the definition. You can add any other words you want. But then a user suggested that we have audio. And so I just added that. And here you can actually play and you'll hear the 2 speakers here, 2 different female voices in the dialogue going back and forth. And you can easily navigate that using the playback controls. And then after I added this, another user said, hey, it'd be great if I could change the speed. And I think that's very useful to me because I know when I started out, I was listening to Spanish at maybe like 0.75, 0.8 on videos and podcasts. And so here you can start out slowly and then go faster. And so now I will even sometimes, depending on the content of the video or the podcast, I want to hear it maybe at 1.5 times to really test my comprehension. Because a lot of times in real conversations, you really are speaking it, 1.5 times or even 2 times the speed you'll hear in a learning app like this. So yeah, so I wanted to point out that I've added that new feature to stories.
okay. And if you played that now, would we be able to hear it or not?
I don't know. Can you hear that?
No, I can't. No.
Yeah, I think it's just for me. I'm sorry.
Because you've
Yeah,
got your yeah,
I
you're
can.
thinking. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. And the voices that what voices does the AI use?
So it will. Mine is set to Latin American Spanish. So it'll be 2 speakers with a Latin American accent. Obviously, you can
Right.
set it to a Spanish from Spain accent or the other languages as well. And so they are AI generated voices.
Yeah.
So they're not that natural human sounding yet. The voice
Yeah.
is getting better all the time, but obviously for an app like this, is the best way to do it is to have it draw from a database of AI voices.
Absolutely. And I like the fact that you can choose Spanish from Spain because most of our students come to us because they want to learn Spanish from Spain, which is fab. And the playback speed as well, absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Excellent.
Let me move on to Echo.
Yeah.
And this also I've changed. So initially, it was just for practicing words. You can click to hear a native speaker, and then you can click to record your own voice and then compare the
Brilliant.
two. And then one user said, hey, it'd be great to hear sentences as well. Now, if you store phrases or sentences in my words, it will present them here. But I think what the user had in mind was being able to see this word in a sentence as well. And so I could go to sentence view, and then I will see that word used in a sentence. And then again, I can click hear the native, record myself, and then compare the two. Uh,
Fantastic.
yeah, so you won't be able to hear that here, but if I
Sure.
just click hear native, it will play that and then record myself and then move on to the next one. These come in sets of 10. I can go back and forth anytime between words and sentences. And then transcripts is where you can load any document. And I call it transcripts because I think for a lot of people, they'd be using it for a podcast or video transcript. I'm a huge fan of podcasts, so I will use this to listen to after I listen to a podcast, even while I'm listening to it, open Vivoca so that I can view the transcript and then highlight words from it. What's cool also is it will identify words I've already saved. So it will show my words highlighted here. But if there are other words I want to learn, I can just simply click here, and then it will give me the opportunity to translate and save in Mivoca.
Wow, that's excellent. That's excellent.
And then, yeah, so you can load any document, by the way. It doesn't have to be a PDF, doesn't have to be a transcript. There are a variety of files that you can add. In fact, it's explained here, the different file types you can use. And they're not stored anywhere. They're just loaded in the app, so you can use it one time and then move on to the next one. And then finally, there's one thing I wanted to show that I just actually finished developing yesterday that I'll be announcing shortly. And that is this. Let's say you go to another website, and it could be a site from a lesson you're following. It could be a video podcast. I just picked a news site here.
Uh-huh.
And here you can click on any word. I'm right now at the, this is El Mundo, on a story about the Oscars that just happened. Here you can click on a word and then actually have that translated in Mivoca. So you can
Wow.
pick any word or phrase. And I can do, for example, if I wanted to pick this entire phrase, and then I save in Mivoca, and that will automatically take me to Mivoca, to the translator, populate it with that particular phrase, and then give me the translation. And it's going to give me other meanings if I want to search for the meanings there. I can simply save this, I can search other meanings, and then decide to save maybe one or more versions of that. And then when I'm finished, it will take me right back to where I was in the story. So right now it's going to give me some other meanings for it. Maybe I'll take the primary meaning, maybe another meaning here.
Uh-huh.
And then when I save, it will return me to the story. So I can then click another word if I want to.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And you can do that. Did you say that was with a Chrome extension or something like that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's it'll be available soon. Right now, this is just my test version of the Chrome extension. But yes, it's a free extension, and I'll provide instructions to all the subscribers once it's released. And you can simply add that. And then for any website, you can click a word or phrase to add it to Mivoca. In fact, you can go to your website here to pick one if you want to. And you can translate from any of those 12 languages one to the other, just by selecting, just like you'd select any other text.
Uh-huh. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah. So when do you think that'll be available then?
Within a few days. So I don't know when this video is going to air, but I will probably have this ready in the next day or two. It does take Google time to approve it, which could be up to 3 days. So it may
Okay.
depend in part on that.
Well, maybe by the time that we publish this, it'll be ready anyway. Yeah.
Yes, yes, it should be.
Yeah. Okay, that's fantastic. Rick, can you help us to understand, is this a pay app? Is it a free app? What's involved?
But yeah, good question. So the bulk of I think that the most useful functionality is actually free. So you get the translator, you get the My Words, you get the flash words, which for many people is the principal way to practice it. Those are all included. But for the more advanced practice features, sentence fill, stories, echo, transcripts, those would be in the paid version. You can actually go to the website here.
Uh-huh.
So if I were to go there, you'll see what's cool about this is I can go back to the app without having to log in again, but it will show all the pricing here at the bottom. So this is just the Mivoca.app main page. And you'll see that it describes the starter and plus plan. So the plus plan is the one that's $4.99 US a month or $49 a year. And of course, for your subscribers, we're offering a discount there.
Yeah, you mentioned that anyone who wants to sign up via Lightspeed Spanish can have a $5 discount, which is 10%, I suppose, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll have a link. I think you'll put that in the show notes.
I'm going to put that in the
click.
video information. There's a link, and if you just go to the site and you sign up, I think you can just use Lightspeed as a code as well. But it'll be in the video information.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Are there any other questions, or is there anything else that you want to see?
Uh, no, I think we've seen pretty much everything. All I'd say is on from me. We teach Spanish, but I'm also in the process of learning another language. And so I'm with this app, I'm reading a book, as I always do. I read books to learn. But the app, I have the I have my phone. By the way, this app, just so you know, the app is you actually get it on a browser. It isn't in the App Store just yet, is it?
Right, right. So it's right, it works the same,
Exactly the same,
whether
yeah.
you're on your phone or on a computer. And there is instructions on the website for adding it to your phone. So it looks and works just like any other app. Yes, I do have plans to actually put it in the app stores with Apple and Google. But for right now, it's easy and works the same way with just
It really
the
does. I
again.
use it on I've got my book and I've got my phone resting on my book with Mioa there, and it's just exactly the same as any other app. But it's what I find is that it's just a very handy way. I'm kind of I'm reading and I've come across a word and I pop it into me Rocker and I'm still, I've got my book. It's really handy. So I like it. I like it much more than I mean I've used other apps and I've used things. I mean the most popular one is Duolingo, and I used that for a good while as well. But there are limitations with Duolingo. What I like about this is it basically you make it what you want. This is your app to build rather than being given stuff that you can't control.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those are the key reasons I created this. One, to be able to quickly add vocabulary on the go, and two, to be able to really study and master the words that were most important to me, not what a given app or vocabulary list said I should know.
Exactly. And that's the interesting thing. You made this app because you were in the process of learning Spanish. And so it was like, I need something to help me here, which is great because you you know, people can make apps who haven't learned languages and they don't understand the ins and outs of learning a language, whereas you have, and you can tell by the way that you formulated it. It's a useful app.
Well, thanks. Thanks. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I certainly welcome feedback from everyone. Like I mentioned, a lot of these enhancements and additions have come from user suggestions. So I welcome any input from your subscribers and fans and anyone else who's using the app who would like to see something added or changed. I'm all ears. Always happy to help.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Rick is not lying when he says that because because I said to him in an email, great app. It would be fantastic if you had Esperanto, just as a joke, really, because Esperanto is like not the most popular language around. And he put it on for me, which was really nice. So I'm chuffed.
Sure, happy to do it. And glad you're finding it useful personally.
Yeah, I mean it's brilliant. So Rick, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing what you've done. Thank you for the work that you're doing, and keep us posted on your updates, especially this thing for the browser. I've been able to take stuff into Miyavoka, which seems great. And so yeah, all the information's in the video information, the discount code as well if you're interested in. Or I think when you sign up, you get the first. You get 10 days of the full thing, Rick, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So whenever you sign up, you're going to get a 10-day free trial of all the plus features. So you'll be able to experiment with those and then decide if you want to upgrade and have those going forward.
Okay. And so if you want to upgrade, just be sure that you use the code and then you'll get your discount as well. Yeah.
Right.
Fantastic. Rick, well, I wish you every success going forward. I think are you happy with how it's going, the app?
I am. And it's getting a bit easier all the time just with the advancements in AI. So
Yeah.
I'm a vibe coder, so it's getting easier for me to make changes and the AI coders making fewer mistakes, which is good. And also, what's exciting is because LLMs are improving, I know that the quality of the content will improve over time. So I've
Yeah.
seen like better example sentences, I've seen better content in stories just because the LLMs are always getting better.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Rick, and we'll talk again, yeah, in the future.
All right. Well, thank you, Gordon. Always a pleasure.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Cheers.